Okay, so the next NX fundamental we're going to talk about is going to be selection enhancements here. New select related object list has been added to the shortcut toolbar. On the right hand image you can see that new select related object list drop down in the shortcut toolbar. So as soon as you select an item on your part, whether it's a face, a curve, or an edge, you'll be presented with that shortcut toolbar that pops up. Now there will be a select related object list drop down option available for you. When you click the select related object list, NX displays related objects available for selection. When you move the pointer over any object in the list, the corresponding object is displayed in the graphics window in the preselection color. Once you select a related object from that list, it replaces the last selected object before you went into that drop-down menu. So that is the selection enhancements with NX fundamentals here. And continuing on, we'll take a look at the selection scene bar. NX now displays a selection scene bar you use as a command that requires selecting objects in the graphics window. So when you create a new feature, whether it's an extrude, create a whole feature, etc., you will be presented with the selection scene bar depending on the type of feature you're creating. So if you're creating a hole on your part, you might be presented with a feature or a selection scene bar that has the feature points option, as you're seeing in that first image there, and the selection point drop down, which is being shown with the orange dot and the crosshairs over it there. So once you have that option show up, you can select from those drop down menus and be able to pick individual points or multiple points on your part to place your whole feature. The selection scene bar is displayed when your command requires a selection of objects such as points, curves, faces, or edges in the graphics window. And again, that's going to depend on which feature type you are creating at that time. It is a dynamic scene toolbar which contains multiple selection controls and selection intent rules. So depending, again, once you get that feature creation process started, you will be presented with potentially different appearance to that selection scene bar depending on what you're creating there. Selection scene bar continued here. So on that selection scene bar, it is going to contain all of your snap points and your selection intent rules. Previously, those snap points and selection intent rules did live up on the top border bar. And if you do notice, when you're in 1926, you will not see those snap points or selection intent rules until you invoke the selection scene bar, and that's where those are located at now. So when you go ahead and start creating your feature, you will see that snap point option, that snap selection scene bar show up, and you'll have different snap point options or selection intent rules depending on what type of feature you are creating at that moment. So the new select related object list drop down in the shortcut toolbar can be accessed when you go over if you go over to a feature. So let's go ahead and pick a feature on this part. So we'll pick this extrude operation or extrude feature here. Once you select that feature, you will get your select object toolbar. And you also get that select related object drop-down menu. This is brand new. And once you do select that drop-down, it's going to show you items that are directly related to the extrude feature that we selected to invoke this operation. So there's the extrude, there's the face of the extrude, and there's the solid body of the revolved. That also is the parent of that extrude function. So if you select one of those, that's going to select that feature. So that is your new selection enhancements with that drop-down menu. So I'll show that one more time. If I go back to that extrude, we'll go to this extrude or this revolve this time. And there's that new select related object drop-down and the related items to that revolve feature. Once you select that item, it's going to select and highlight that item on the part. Next, we'll take a look at the NX Fundamentals selection scene bar. So depending on the feature creation process you're going to use here, you will be presented with the feature or the selection scene bar at the top center of your display window here now, your dialog window. Once you select the extrude function, of course, the first thing you need to do is define some curves to extrude. So on the selection scene bar, you're presented with the curve rule drop down, as well as some additional options related to that curve rule. If I were to go in and create a whole feature, I am now going to be presented with the option to select or define feature points. So as you can see, I have the feature point drop down, and I also have the snap point option that is presented to me on this toolbar now. So it depends on the feature you're creating. You will get different options that show up on this scene selection bar. Selection scene bar, I should say. So let me cancel that. And again, those snap points and those selection filters will no longer show up on your top border bar. They are presented with that new selection scene bar as you create your features at the center of the screen here. Next, we'll look at the edit object display enhancements.